Okay, hello YouTube. This is not going to be a rant on the world right now. Uh, I'm going to address a question that Joe eloquently addressed and responded to some moments ago. And that is, it was a very good question. What are you going to do when you run up on uh, or if you run up on somebody that knocks you slap out, that you're knocked out cold? Uh, that's a very good question. And that's something that when you're in a gym today, that doesn't get passed along. Uh, Proper punching technique, defense, footwork. Everybody thinks they're a master at all of that, instead of getting from point A to point B as quick as you can in a more natural way, which is what I do and what we did uh, 50 years ago. And I was fortunate as a kid because I got to be trained by the people who would come in where we lived in Charlotte that were training Big John Tate, former WBA heavyweight champion of the world, at the same time. So not only did I get the trainers that were in the gym in Charlotte, we had the heavyweight champion of the world's guys coming into our gym in Charlotte and helping us. And I spent a good amount of time as a kid around these guys. And they helped me, and they helped me a lot. Now, oddly enough, that question would relate to the personal situation with me concerning boxing. I was a younger fella at the time. I was a mid-teenager, late-teen teenager. And John Tate got knocked out with about 40 seconds to go in the 15th round after he pummeled Mike Weaver approximately 14 and a half rounds. What Tate's team decided to do, and there was dissension about it then. There were people in the gym talking about it then. I forget the guy's name, but they went and pitted him for the next comeback fight, and then he would have gotten a rematch with Weaver. But the comeback fight from that vicious knockout, he was knocked out cold. Ace Miller put him in there with to fight one of the hardest hitters that were available, and he got knocked out again. He was never the same. Never the same. It was just bad psychology. Trainers that were under Ace at the time, they knew it was wrong, and we heard the talk in the gym. He shouldn't be fighting this guy. He shouldn't be doing this. He needs to build back up. John Tate was would have been a hell of a good champion for quite some time. It's hard to see that when what you go look at is predominantly with him is that Tate, the Weaver knockout, where Weaver knocks him out right at the end of the fight. To any of you that want to know what could possibly happen to you, and trainers out there, because it's an amazing thing. All these trainers, they'll go on, they'll start critiquing everybody and their brother, and they don't know what the hell they're doing themselves. And that's how you can spot an idiot boxing trainer, coach, if you want to call them that. That's a quickest way to spot an idiot in a sport. Somebody that's constantly critiquing others, has no champions himself. Well, I guess let me get back on track here. Trainers today aren't teaching the psychology of the sport. This is why a guy gets hit, he goes down, takes a knee, and quits. Now, I want to tell you, I fully brought to the forefront of my mind with concerns to Joe, and Joe's not the only other guy I train. We've got adults that come in. We've got kids. We've got some girls. A whole lot of stuff. The problem is nobody makes it with me. See, and there's good reason for that. I don't want nobody to get in the ring and get hurt. You've got to have the psychology straight. One thing I did with Joe, because he is my son, I sped up the process. I put him in repeatedly for the first year or so, put him in with people that I knew was going to work him over. Get fresh with him with the psychology in the ring while they were doing it to him. And he took it, and he kept coming back. Joe's never suffered a black-outed knockout. He's been knocked silly. He's been hit with a liver shot, doubled over, went down, and not been able to get back up. Threw up. We've been through it all. He's gassed out. But the thing is when he suffered these things, and that's what you need to happen to a young boxer. Really, you do. You need these things to happen. And a young boxer needs a trainer that will help these processes along for him, that he'll be prepared for anything that comes his way as he progresses and moves up the food chain in boxing. It's nothing real complicated here. When you get knocked out, you really, it's a bad thing to get manhandled, to get outclassed, all of which has happened to me and happened to my son. And Joe's done it to everybody that comes through the gym. Or I've had two other kids with one doing it to another kid. You've got to go through these things. This is not badminton. This is not tennis. This is not, you've got to feel all these things in order to move up and progress. It's like you have a quarterback, but you don't have him throw the ball. Maybe you have him throw the ball, but you're not scrimmaging. He can throw the ball excellently. You're putting out videos. You can see the guy throwing the ball 50, 60 yards with accuracy, but he ain't got nobody chasing him. He ain't been hit and knocked down and sacked. And you got to be knocked on your ass repeatedly to build greatness. So these things are just elementary around here. They seem to be mind-boggling to those whom have all this experience, and they've done this and they've done that. And to a lot of you out there, it seems mind-boggling. And it's the most elementary part of boxing. So work on your ring psychology, in-ring psychology, your fight psychology, and get yourself in scenarios. You don't want to get up to being ranked number one in the world going in with somebody and then get a knockout, get knocked out, and all that to go down the drain. And it will, and that's what's happening to a lot of fighters today. They have no psychology of it. They haven't been put to bear. And one other thing I just want to remind the rest of you out there is you need to understand, the rest of you out there, when it comes to concerns of what we're doing around here, we're not doing what you do, Mr. Trainer. We're not doing what you do, Mr. Coach. We're not rocking and rolling like you were 20 years ago. What we're doing is tried and true. There's a few newer things of the day mixed in with a whole hell of a lot from guys that taught me who were boxing in the 20s, 30s, and 40s and 50s. So no, we're not doing what you do. You're in the group that's them over there. We're in the group that's us. And it's a simple thing. And I don't mean that really to be ugly to anybody. People say, you're awful boastful. You are walking around with an ego. No, we're kind of Muhammad Ali-ing it around here. And if you don't know the quote, I'll tell you. It ain't bragging if you can back it up. So, if you are a boxer, you should walk in humbleness around those whom are around you. But you can't do that while promoting yourself. And you're not going to make it in this sport if you have no ego and no boldness about you. You're just not going to make it in this sport. Whatever weight class Joe settles into, he'll certainly show you. He'll show you it's not going to work. You can't see that. You haven't had men around you to understand this and to thoroughly full well know, because they're not teaching you to be like we are. That's how I can figure it out. They are not teaching you. You are not being taught to do what we do. Therefore, when you look at what we do and what little bit we put out, it's mind-blowing to you and you think it's wrong because you don't know no better. So I really don't mean to be offensive when I say that, but I know it is offensive. The truth, more often than not, is very offensive. And I'm not trying to run people off around here, not trying to really offend anybody around here. But keep in mind, I've said this in many a video and many people with us in person. Don't get too high and mighty here, fella, because you ain't got a clue as to what we're doing. So, now, I didn't get into world affairs, but I will end it with this. England is being overran by the worst of Islam. The U.S. is getting overran by the worst of Latin gang people coming in. And we've got to stand up. We've got to put a stop to all this. And guess what? If we can't, at least we need to go down fighting. At least you need to go down fighting. We're lucky because I got Joe here. I'm the luckiest guy in the world. We're choosing to make our stand to show everybody what the deal is in the ring. Hopefully we're going to be back in the United States, and we are going to just keep doing what we're doing, bulldozing, intimidating, and everybody running off. We're going to continue the process. I've been thinking it was a lot worse down here in Latin America, but from what I'm seeing in my home country in the U.S., I don't think there's much better. And maybe I'm wrong. But one thing after coming up on us that you won't walk off saying, even if you leave us laying, is they're soft. They're candy. You're going to say there's nothing sweet about them people. Now I want to finish this with, I want to tell you, have hope in all the bad that you see. Keep pushing forward. God's got this. Christ has this. We can't see it, but He does. He wins in the end, and we're going to be in His camp. And we want you in there too. So everybody have a great weekend.